News continues.
Good Thursday morning. It is 6:30. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Coming up in just a few minutes, kind of a scary story. A Miss USA photo shoot. One of the contestants collapses. We're going to find out what's behind it. She's okay, but we've got the story coming up.
All right, and we've got a changing weather forecast finally, although we've got another cool day on our hands.
One more to go. Shows promise, though, tomorrow, Bruce. Friday looks good. Some sunny breaks in the afternoon. And by the time we get to the weekend, slowly rebuilding back to seasonal. But it is a case of some light snow or flurries just off the western side of the city this morning. For a majority of us, though, less, at least through the south side of the province, this will just be scattered flurries today. Details on their full 7-day forecast coming up.
It is time for a change, isn't it? Watch the Highway 1 west of Calgary if you're doing some traveling. In the city, Deerfoot Trail, 17th Avenue looks pretty good. And it's getting busier out there, but still collision-free. We'll have more for you in 10.
In the news, hundreds of Albertans, including a Calgary MP, are being sued by the Bank of Montreal.
The big bank is alleging a massive mortgage fraud involving $120 million. Now, in the lawsuit, the bank said it lost millions during the real estate boom in 2006 and 2007. It alleges the losses are from fraudulent mortgages given to properties all around southern Alberta, including right here in Calgary during the real estate boom. Bank investors made a formal complaint to police last week. Calgary Northeast MP Devinder Shorey is named in the lawsuit for his role as the lawyer of record in at least 4 of the mortgage transactions. His executive assistant said he has not been served with papers and that if he is, he will defend himself vigorously. No criminal charges have been laid in the case.
Residents at the Millrise condo complex that was destroyed by fire could be back in their homes within a year. And Cara Fullerton is live at the condo unit with the details on this story. Good morning, Cara.
Good morning, Bruce. Well, developers and condo owners met last night to discuss the plans for this building after the big fire back in March. And the theme for rebuilding is better days ahead. And yes, they've decided to rebuild. Now, a fire back in March left about 300 people homeless, and the cause, a careless disposal of a cigarette. But yes, they say they are moving ahead. They've done some minor demolition so far. They've applying for permits. They've chosen their contractor, and they are using the original builder and architect. As I said, they've decided to rebuild as opposed to tear down, and that was a pretty tough decision to make.
The decision to rebuild rather than tearing it down is, first of all, cost. It's a $20 million bill to tear it down to the concrete slab where the parking garage is. It's $12 million to rebuild it.
Now, from what's left, there was one side, obviously, that had significant fire damage and another side that had mostly some significant water damage. Now, they anticipate that the people that live in the water side of the building, they will be ready to move in about 4 months, and then they anticipate about 9 months before the people that live in the fire side actually get to move in. Now, just one last note, they have to pay a $2,500 deductible to the insurance company, and building owners have officially requested that the person that was responsible for the fire actually pay that deductible, but that has not been confirmed as yet.
All right, Cara, thank you.
You're welcome.
There is Cara Fullerton reporting from Millrise this morning.
Some tense moments in the downtown core over a suspicious package yesterday, and police still want to talk to the man who delivered it. It turned into a major police incident with streets blocked off and offices evacuated. Happened around noon. Security cameras at 5th Avenue Place spotted a man leaving a package under a loading dock. Emergency crews, including the bomb squad, were called in. Well, the package turned out to be construction materials bound together. Police still don't know if it was a simple mistake. They are taking a close look at surveillance tapes. Still no suspects and no motive for Calgary's latest murder. 40-year-old Donnie Tu was gunned down in the doorway of his Edgemont home on Monday. It happened in the middle of the night while his wife and children were inside. Tu's brother is a former gang member who has served prison time on drug charges. Investigators aren't ruling anything out. Tu was known to police, but for a minor issue several years ago.
A notorious sex offender accused of kidnapping and raping a young Calgary woman a year and a half ago continues to tie up the courts. Michael Nadolnik's alleged victim was told that he was going to plead guilty, but this week that deal fell apart. And now, as Nancy Hicks tells us, the victim is reliving the crime all over again.
November 10th, 2008 is the day Amanda wishes she could forget. The 20-year-old had just finished grooming the last dog for the day when a man came into her shop and kidnapped her.
He just looked at me and said, come with me, and I was just kind of gave him a look like, no. And then he said, he just pointed the gun, and I just went blank and was like, okay, I guess I don't have a choice in this matter.
Amanda was taken at gunpoint. The offender hijacked a vehicle from an elderly man, keeping the man as a hostage, and took them both to a field.
He took me outside of the truck and sexually assaulted me.
Michael Nadolnik is charged with a long string of offenses, including sexually assaulting Amanda. He was out on statutory release when the crime spree happened. Nadolnik is a career criminal who has spent the past 3 decades in and out of jail for violent crimes. Somehow he managed to convince the parole board he was a low risk and ended up on the streets. Amanda had never heard of him before.
In hindsight, I think about, wow, I could be dead. I could be severely hurt. I walked out of there very lucky.
Nadolnik was arrested 4 days after Amanda was sexually assaulted and has been in jail ever since. But this case is far from finished in the courts.
They phoned us and they're like, oh yeah, you can turn around. He pled guilty. So I thought it was over. I thought all my worries were done. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to deal with anything anymore. And then I got a phone call yesterday saying, yeah, he pled not guilty.
A dangerous offender hearing date had already been set for September, and Amanda thought it was a done deal. He would be jailed indefinitely. Now Nadolnik has changed his mind, and the matter is expected to go to trial.
And I got to relive it again, after many times of reliving it, telling the story over and over again.
Amanda's biggest fear is that Nadolnik will somehow get released once again.
I'm very scared. Like, is he going to find me? Does he know where I live? You know, can he trace me? Is there somehow that he can find me?
Nancy Hixt, Global News.
The trial date for Nadolnik is supposed to be set on Friday, but that case could drag on for many months. Our Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, is in the Netherlands today, marking the 65th anniversary of the end of the Second World War. And in a ceremony to honor the lives lost during the war, he was there. The sun was shining brightly at the Canadian War Cemetery near the border of the Netherlands and Belgium, where 968 Canadian soldiers are buried. Most of the fallen who lie there lost their lives while fighting to liberate the Netherlands. Small Canadian flags planted in front of many of those graves as well.
Here's a look at some stories making headlines around the world. The lone surviving gunman from the Mumbai terror attacks received a death sentence today. Pakistani Mohammad Kasab was convicted of one of the bloodiest parts of the attack, opening fire in one of Mumbai's busiest train stations. Now, under Indian law, death sentences must be reviewed by the country's high court. It is election day in the United Kingdom. British Prime Minister Gordon Brown and his Labour Party are hoping to hang on to power against David Cameron and the Tories and Nick Clegg and the Liberal Democrats. Many analysts are calling for a minority Labour government thanks to a late surge of support for Brown. Some scary moments as a contestant in the Miss USA contest collapsed during a publicity shoot. There she goes over on the right side. Now, Miss Kentucky, Kendra Danielle Clark, apparently lost her footing and fell. Some of her fellow contestants helped her back up to her feet so that the shoot could continue. She's doing okay. And Asian stocks taking a sharp plunge today over fears of the debt crisis in Greece. In Tokyo, the Nikkei stock average was down 3.2% in early trading. Stocks were also down in Hong Kong, Australia, Singapore, Taiwan, and mainland China. Bruce, that's how things were happening overseas. How are things here in North America?
Well, we know that had a direct impact on our markets yesterday. Let's say good morning to Rob Laidlaw at Acumen Capital Partners now for an update. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, Bruce.
Not a very good day on the markets yesterday.
No, it sure wasn't. It was another ugly day in the markets yesterday as the TSX was down 156 points at the end of the day. The Dow down 59 and the high-tech NASDAQ was down 22. Oil was down $2.77 at $79.97. Gold was the only up arrow at $1,175 even, and our Canadian dollar once again lost almost half a cent at 97.12 cents U.S.
Now let's jump right into some of the interesting business headlines today, and there could be some trouble on the horizon for Pampers of all companies.
Yeah, the Safety Commission in the U.S. has launched an investigation. Procter & Gamble's new Pampers. They've got a lot thinner Pamper, I guess, and it's caused a lot of rash